Good morning, everyone. Good morning, YouTube. Apologize for being a little late this morning. My brother was dragging his feet, so I had to get him straight, get him out of here. Thank you guys for joining me this morning. Of course, as you read the title, this is an all MLB season preview special. So we're gonna focus on baseball today. Thank you guys for joining me. Um, Shout out to the Daru again. We're up to 324 subscribers now. So we got a little bump. Um, we was at what we was on 312 for a long time, but then after I went on, I went over, showed us some love, showed me some love back, so I got a little bump. So I appreciate that from her. Um, but yeah, it's just gonna be a baseball show today. Appreciate you guys. We got a show tomorrow as well. We'll focus more on the NBA. The latest signings in the NFL. I know y'all heard about Russ going to the Giants. Diggs signed a contract with New England, which is a little bit surprising the way New England, even though it's not Belichick no more, but still New England's New England, up and coming team. So surprised he went there. But we'll get into that tomorrow as well, and of course the Sweet 16 starts tomorrow. So we'll look into all that. The women's side of the bracket as well. We'll probably talk about that as well. So we'll focus on that tomorrow. But today we're going to focus on MLB. The season really started last week. Dodgers swept the Cubs in the Tokyo series. Dodgers, of course, like I was saying, probably and a lot of people's the favorite again to go back to back. They're just too deep. Um, so we'll see what happens with them this year. But we're going to talk about all 30 teams in the MLB. We're going to start in the American League. Um, I'm gonna give you my take on all 30 teams, where I think they will finish in the season. I'll give you predictions for the MVP, the Cy Young Award winners in both leagues as well, and my World Series champion. I will reveal that as well. But I just want to thank you guys once again. If I would have been so late, I just would have pushed it to probably noon or 1 o'clock, and I probably would have recorded outside. Since the weather's not that bad, I probably would have did my show outside. But I wasn't going to cancel. Um, so tomorrow it might happen like that. It depends on how he, um, what happens with him. But thank you guys for the patience. But also, the projects is going pretty decently. I'm doing so many things at once. Silent Hill 2, which I'm gonna probably do a video on that today. Um, Ninja Gaiden 2, also. Um, I just did a video on that yesterday. But I got some time off, so I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of different things. Call of Duty video might slide in there. Um, so just look out for all of that. And y'all still watching the shorts, the Nintendo shorts. So I was thinking about doing some new ones of that. Probably just some different games. Instead of focusing on just Mario games, I should, do some other games. So, um, and some new stuff coming in April. This game called Pacific Skies, a very brand new game. Um, I'm definitely gonna get into that game. There's a couple of games that's been out for just a couple of years that I want to touch on. So just stay tuned. Sometimes I throw a surprise in there. Something will come up that I like, a little game that's not known, and I play that as well. So, um, but thank you guys again. Like I said, y'all guys, my crew, my subscribers are very loyal, and I appreciate you guys so much. All right, so let's get into why we're here today. MLB 2025 this season preview. I'm gonna go to each division and each team. Um, all right, we're gonna start the American League. Let's start the West. Usually I start the East, but let's start the West this year because the West is a very interesting division in the American League. Um, I got the Angels finishing last in the division. I did a little research. Um, we're gonna talk about the A's soon and their situation, but I think even though before I even did my research, I thought the Angels um, We won't be surprised if this the year they trade Mike Trout. Um, Even though, like I said, they should have probably done it years ago. Especially once Tony decided to leave, they probably should have went ahead and uh, traded Trout. So that's something to look out for this season. But if he stays there, that's probably the only reason to watch the A's. Um, just organizationally, um, just need a change. I think um, to get better. So I got the A's finishing last in the AL West. Speaking of the A's, I got them finishing fourth. I think they're gonna be a decent team this year. They playing in Sacramento, California. If you follow baseball, this team, they moving to Vegas, but that's still a few years away. I guess why they built their stadium. So while that's been done, they can't play in Oakland. They pretty much had to leave Oakland. Feel bad for the city of Oakland. Losing the Raiders, lost the Rams. Lost the losing the A's. Who else? They lost to another team too. The Warriors, even though the Warriors still close to San Francisco, but now you have no pro team there. Um, so it kind of sucks for those fans in that city that they couldn't get something done, at least keep something. Um, but the A's, they got a decent team, and I think them, this situation, I think it's going to make them a better team. I think make them better collectively, as far as locker room wise and things of that nature. You don't even have a city name because you can't, even though they in Sacramento, you can't call them the Sacramento A's because they just there temporarily. So, very weird situation, but I think they're going to be a decent team. I think they're going to give teams some trouble sometimes. Um, so look out for the A's this year. Um, the Texas Rangers. Texas Rangers is a very interesting team. This team, I think, could go either. They got the potential to win this division, but I also think they, well, as you call it, ceiling to the floor. I think their floor could be very low as well. I think some of the experts are relying on Jacob DeGrom to finally be healthy, and if he is, of course, that changes a lot for the Texas Rangers. The lineup is not too bad on offense, but like I said, they won the World Series, so you give them some respect for that. 2 years ago, that was been 2 years removed from that. Um, but like I said, even when they won that World Series, I said this is not, they're not the Astros. They're not going to continue. They might still be a competitive team, but I don't see them being dominant like Houston or the Yankees or these teams that's been winning for years. They still gotta keep that, get something together there. But they have the potential to, just like that year, they could probably, if they won the World Series, I wouldn't be too shocked. But if they, just like last year, don't make the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised either. So they right there in that room. We'll see because I'm gonna give you my wild card teams as well. So Rangers, they're going to be right there, but I think American League is very competitive, so we'll see where they land as far as postseason wise. But I hope Jacob could grow up. But I've seen him a few times. When he's on, he is one of the best. So that'd be great for us, for the fans, and for the Rangers fans if he's able to stay healthy all season long. Seattle Mariners, I got them finishing runner up second in the American League West. Mariners, man, they've been frustrated. I know they've been frustrated last like 2, 3 seasons. They've been right there to make the wild card. I think they was in line last year. I think they was a division leader for a while. Then Houston was able to come back and win the division, and they still missed the playoffs. I think this year is going to be a lot better. I think they're going to. Well, I guess I can reveal this. I think they will be one of the wild card teams. Francisco Rodriguez continue to get better. He's one of the best players of the game. Then the Mariners, like I said, the fan base as well. Mariners was really bad for a while. Now they're competing again. So hopefully we'll see if they can pull through and get that wild card spot. But I still think the Houston Astros, which I got number one in this division, will win it again. Only thing I worry about Houston is it, you only can sustain a certain level of excellence for so long. They got a couple of World Series throughout this basically like 10-year run they was on. The veterans started to get older. Altuve, some of the other veterans, they lost a couple of guys as well. Yordan Alvarez, though, he's a great hitter. Um, so long as they keep him and build around him, Houston will still be fine. But I think the core starting to crumble a little bit. So we'll see how they do. But I think they're still good enough to win this division. I think probably the next 2-3 years, maybe they might drop off a little bit. Maybe Seattle or Texas will come and be that perennial division winner. But until otherwise, Houston is that team. So I got the Astros winning this division once again. So Houston number one in the division. You got the Seattle Mariners two, Rangers third, the A's fourth, and the LA Angels last in the West. Let's go to the American League Central. American League Central, another um, to be sort of, I would say, wide open division, but really pretty much don't know. It's depending on who you like pretty much in this division, because it's probably, other than the White Sox, everybody else in the division has a chance to win it. So let's go ahead and talk about the Chicago White Sox. Probably gonna be another long year for the White Sox again. Have some young talent, guys you probably want to come see what they do. But overall, just not nowhere near contending right now. Um, Hopefully they doing things behind the scenes right. They farm system and things of that nature. But if not, White Sox going to be in the basement for a while, and I think they'll finish in the basement again this season. Detroit Tigers got them finishing fourth, but had the potential to finish higher. Like I said, this division um, is sort of wide open to me. I think any of these teams can win it, but Detroit, I got them finishing fourth. They did make the playoffs last year as a wild card. Um, got the young pitcher that I think is going to win the Cy Young. So I already sort of gave that away. Tarak Skubal, I think he pronounced his name is. He had a great season. I watched him in the playoffs last year. Um, he's in line to probably win this. He's the odds-on favorite to win it in the American League. Um, but the rest of this team, the team was young. Things fell their way. Um, that could happen again this year, or maybe, like I said, they prove people wrong and just win. So, Detroit got a chance. I say even potential to win this division, but when I look at overall all the rest of the teams, I got them finishing fourth in the Central. Third, the Cleveland Indians. Indians won this division last year, um, but they lost a lot of key players. Um, but they still got they all-star Jose Ramirez. So what he's going to bring to the table. But can Cleveland, other supporting cast, get it done? That's the question for them this year. So that's why I got them finish at third. Minnesota Twins. Twins sort of disappointed me a little bit last year. Fell off the last couple of weeks of the season. Wound up missing the postseason altogether. But if you, like I said, you look on paper, they probably still is the deepest team in this division. That's why I picked them last year to win it. But I couldn't give it to them this year. Just don't trust them still. But they got a great team. So we'll see what they do. They finish in second. And then Kansas City, I got them finishing first in the division. I really believe in Bobby Witt Jr. And his Royals supporting cast. We'll see with the pitching. The pitching, I think it's a question mark. But the Royals, even throughout the years when they was winning, in the 2010s, when they won the One World Series, they more small ball than anything. And then the pitching, well, most major league teams do it this way. You start to go about 4 innings, then you go to the bullpen. So, but I like this team. I just think I just couldn't give it to the Twins because of what happened last year. Even the year before, they still, I feel like they fell short of expectations. So, Royals a young team, but I think, like I said, Detroit, Cleveland, Minnesota, or Kansas City could win this division. It would shock nobody. Um, but I'm just going to give it to the Kansas City. Bobby Widry, I think he's about to take the next step, and I think that's going to be enough for them to win this division. So, White Sox finishing last, Detroit fourth, Cleveland Indians, Guardians third, Minnesota Twins second, and the Kansas City Royals will win this division. All right, American League East. American League East, always very competitive division. All five of these teams have something to bring to the table, but I had to put them in order. This was a tough one to do. Tampa Bay Rays, their potential. This organization is definitely ran very, very well. For them to flip roster and still compete. But I think, just by looking overall, I think they will finish last in this division. I think Toronto made some moves, Boston, the Yankees as well, and the Orioles. So I just don't see them being better than any of those four teams. But would surprise me, like I said, if they finish higher or compete for this division. They've done it time and time again when you counted them out. So Rays ain't nothing to play with, but I still think they finish last in this division. Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto Blue Jays made some small moves. Took Anthony Santander from us, from the Orioles, to get more power. Vlad's still there for now. I think that's something that Toronto better make a priority. You don't want to lose him. So that's the issue with them this year. Hopefully it don't be too much of a distraction for them overall as a team. But you look at this team, they should compete. Gotta help Kevin Gausman though, get some more pitching. But this Blue Jays team could definitely score runs. But I still think they got a ceiling that they gotta break through. So I got them finishing fourth in the division. Boston Red Sox. This team, like I said, another runaway organization. Almost made the playoffs last year. I think I picked them last. I think last year I picked them in the basement from the year before. But they've gotten better. They got some guys. Alex Bregman is now there. They got some veterans now. Go with this young team. Boston, I'm not going to say they back, but they're going to be competitive. So look out for the Red Sox this season. I got them finishing third. Now, this was the hardest part. Who I got to win the division. And me for being from Baltimore, of course. I root for the Orioles, even though I'm a Braves fan. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan first. But the Orioles, very young, up-and-coming team. Like I said, they lost Santander, but they got some guys that might I don't want to say replace him, but make up for it. Will Gunnar Henderson take that next step? He's rumbles about him might win the MVP in the American League, but I got them finishing second to the Yankees. I just still not sure about the Orioles pitching. And the Orioles pitching been an issue for years, even before they start being competitive again. And I think that's the difference. See, even though the Yankees lost Garrett Cole, I know somebody will say that, well, the Yankees lost Garrett Cole, but Chris Sale, me being a Braves fan, I believe he's going to have an awesome year for the Yankees. And then they still got some young pitching that's not bad. That's still a tick above the Orioles. I think that's going to be the difference between winning the division and us not. I think Aaron Judge will still do what he do for the Yankees. So I got the Orioles finishing second. I got the Yankees finishing first in the East this season again. But it would surprise me if the Orioles win the division. I give Boston an outside chance as well. Toronto, like I said, Toronto is sort of in that no man's land. Has potential to be good, but you just can't put them above those teams. So Tampa finishing last in the division. Got Toronto fourth, Boston third, the Orioles finishing second, and the New York Yankees finishing first and winning the division. All right, okay, so that's the American League. Let's go to the National League, and we will start in the East this time. I'm gonna go from top to bottom again. Um, this division at the top, they top heavy. But uh, Miami Marlins got to finish it last. They just can't keep a team. Every time they get sort of decent, the players wind up leaving, or maybe Miami don't want to pay, whatever the reason you want to use. They just can't sustain excellence. They have 2 years, 2 good years, maybe three, and then they get blown all up, and they go back down again, and then they take a couple years, come back. So, but this year, I think it'd be one of their down years. So I got them finishing last, even though they got some talent there as well. Um, Washington Nationals, same, really since Bryce Harper left and um, Max Scherzer, that era, Jason Worth, all that era of the Nationals won the World Series. Juan Soto was there. That's where he started his career. So, um, and now he's back in the National League East. Um, the Nationals still trying to find their way. Um, so I got them finishing fourth. Now this will start getting interesting. Um, and this was hard, but I got the Mets finishing third in the division. Um, I know the Juan Soto thing, um, got them a lot of hype. And I think they're going to be a competitive team. I think they still might make the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to just be an average team, but this division is just so deep and tough. Um, the National League itself is very, very competitive. Um, and I think the teams, Philadelphia and the Braves, we're going to talk about them right now, but I still put them a tick above, below those two teams. I got Philly finishing second. I just mentioned Bryce Harper. Zach Wheeler still there. Is going to be throwing heat. Just a deeper team. I think Atlanta and Philadelphia is just a deeper team than the Mets. The Mets got three great players: Lindor, Soto, and of course the polar bear, um, Pete Alonso. But I think after that, yeah, they got some decent guys. But I think Philly's lineup is a little deeper. I also think my Braves lineup is the deepest, and maybe it's me being biased because I am a Braves fan, like I said. But any of these three teams, like I said, you can flip these three teams, and I won't argue too much about it. But I think my Braves, Acuna, I think it's going well. He ain't gonna be back till I think the end of April, which is fine. But we still got a deep lineup of Riley and Olsen. I just think our lineup is deeper. Um, um, Stroder is back, and Chris Sale has pitched well last year. I just think we're the better team overall, and I think we'll win this division. But it's going to be a war between those three teams. Those three teams, anytime they play a series, is going to be worth watching. So Miami finishing last, Washington finishing fourth, the Mets third, Philadelphia second, and the Atlanta Braves will finish first. And the crazy thing is, if you go look at ESPN Power, they got my Braves second overall. The Dodgers number one. Really, it's the first five teams of National League teams. They got the Braves second, I think. Phillies third, I think the Mets are fourth. Um, I think it was the Mets. What's that? One, two, three. Dodgers, Braves. I think it's Philly. Then the Mets. That's four. What was the 15? Uh, hmm. I thought it was five. Maybe it was the first four, but it's the National League is crazy. It's a lot of great teams in this league. Let's move on to the Central. Central. This was a hard one to decide on. I just went with uh, who's been doing it, I guess. Uh, Five, I got the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals, speaking of longevity, they was a good team for a long time, for basically 20 years. Albert Pujols, Adam Wainwright. Um, and Benjamin Lena, they was the cornerstones of that franchise. They all gone. They tried to buy, well, I don't want to say buy, but Paul Goldsmith, who's moving on, he's in New York. I think he's going to have a bounce back year with them. That's another thing I didn't even mention with the Yankees. Um, I think Narlano is still there, um, coming from Colorado, but he's been disappointing for the Cardinals as well. Um, I just think they need to really start over if they haven't already. That era of the Cardinals is over. So I got the Cardinals finishing last in the division. Fourth, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Of course, Paul Skinks is the attraction there for the Pirates, but can they um, put anything together? I don't feel the same way about this the American League Central that I do about the National League Central. I think um, it wouldn't shock me if they finish a little higher, um, but I'd be sort of surprised. Um, how things have gone over the years. So I got them finishing fourth. Third, the Cincinnati Reds. Ella De Cruz, young talented guy there. Um, Cincinnati, not a bad. They showed some flashes last year. Pittsburgh did as well. Pittsburgh was competitive um, for a while until the second half of the season came. It might be like that again. They hang around and then the second half comes and things fall into order. But hopefully, one of these two teams do make a run. Because the Cruz is a star, young star that MLB try to promote. So is Paul Skinks. So if one of these two teams is good, it would be good for the game. But I just don't see it. I got Cincinnati finish at third. Second, the Chicago Cubs. Cubs have potential. They are slowly making some small moves, making their team better as well. But I still think Milwaukee Brewers, um, to me, is still their division to lose. They've been holding this division, pretty for the last 5 years. I think they could do it again this year. Um, Christian Yelich, maybe he has come back and have a bounce back year. Um, so that's my order in the Central. St. Louis Cardinals fifth, Pittsburgh Pirates fourth, Cincinnati Reds third, Chicago Cubs second, and Milwaukee Brewers will win this division again, in my opinion. So, but that, like I said, that division, um, it's tighter than you think. I just think Cubs have a chance. I give even Cincinnati and Pittsburgh an outside chance, but I like Chicago's chances a little more. But um, I will go with Milwaukee to win this division again. American League West, National League West, National League West. The obvious is the Dodgers, but we'll talk about them when we get to the top. But let's start with the bottom, which I think is obvious. The Colorado Rockies. Um, Shout out to my loyal bro. Good vibes. Hope you're doing well. I haven't heard from you in a while. I know he's a Rockies fan. Um, and I would like to, hopefully if you do reach out, I ask him like, what do you think? What direction do you think the Rockies are in? Um, of course, they're in the stadium. They can score runs here and there, but everything else is just not good enough right now. Um, I guess just the only thing is just don't lose 100 games. I guess. Other than that, it's gonna be a long year for the Rockies again. I got them finishing last. Now this is what they start getting shit. Really, the middle of this division is the question marks. I don't want to say question marks, but you can see these going anyway. But I got San Francisco finishing fourth. They made some major moves in the offseason as well. This team, Giants, they was a perennial contender for a while. Just what was it? A couple years ago when them and the Dodgers tied for the division with 100 something wins. Um, so they had to play each other in that first round. Um, the Giants, just look out for them. They can upset some teams this year, maybe rise higher. But I just think the teams in front of them are just a little bit better. Got them finishing fourth. Arizona Diamondbacks, um, very young team. Was just in the World Series last a couple years ago against the Rangers. Um, just religious team. Then they got Corbin Burns from the Orioles. Most of their pitching. I think he's going to be a factor. Even though some people thinking that's an overrated move, but Corbin Burns is just a steady guy. You can rely on him. Um, so I think he's going to do well with the Diamondbacks. Um, I see they still a tick below the contenders. The Dodgers and the Braves, and even the Padres, which I think going to finish second in this division. I think with the moves they made, um, they competitive. But see, the question is in this division, can they even touch the Dodgers? I still think they can't. If the Dodgers healthy, the Dodgers will win this division, and the Dodgers will be right there to win the World Series again. Sylvia Tony. Now I think he's back to pitching now, so he might easily win the MVP again. Um, the home runs though, I just think after a while, like because at today's game, they still pitch to you, but baseball is just so, like I said, it's just up and down basically, all the time. What he had over 50 last year. He might hit like 40 something. I don't think he's gonna have as many home runs as he did last year. Um, but that don't mean he ain't gonna have a good year. He still hit average and everything else. The Dodgers issue is Freddie Freeman. Um, can he stay healthy all year long? Mookie Betts, he'll be back soon. He had an illness. So they got some holes right now, small holes, but holes. Um, but I still think they're the best team, far and away, in this division. So they finished first again. So I got Colorado finishing last, the Giants finishing fourth, Arizona Diamondbacks, look out for them, finishing third, San Diego Padres, look out for them as well, finishing second, and the Dodgers, once again, will win this division. Okay, so we got through all my division predictions and everything. So now I'm gonna tell you who I think will make the wild card and look at the playoff picture in the future. Um, like I said, baseball is so hard to predict because injuries, that's with every sport, but sometimes a good team will come together, they just don't have it that year. It happens in baseball. You won't understand it, even though the stats might be the same, but you still don't win games. So, um, since we just did the National League, let me run through the National League real quick. Um, of course, my division winners: Dodgers, Braves, Milwaukee. That's 1, 2, 3. I think Philly will get the first wild card. I just think they too good, too deep. New York Mets, I got making the playoffs as well. And I got the Padres getting the last wild card spot. So that leaves out any other Central teams, like the Cubs. A lot of people think the Cubs might do it. Cincinnati. Um, in the East, Washington, Miami. Like I said, I think they not close to competing. Now the West is interesting because the Diamondbacks, even though they made it last year again, will they be left out? Um, the Giants as well. I think those two teams will have something to say about a wild card spot. So the National League, like I said, very very deep. So we'll see what happens with these 6 teams. I feel strongly about making the postseason. Um, and the American League, Yankees, Astros, Kansas City Royals. They my 3 division winners, so they're in. The Orioles get the first wild card spot. I still think the Orioles are a great team. Just hope, like I said, things with their pitching improve, and like I said, don't touch anything. Hopefully, they don't get tricked by making a trade, because I thought last year that was going to happen. They was going to trade away one of our perennial stars to get somebody, a veteran or something, get somebody that's doing well now. But I think they should just hold tight. I really strongly believe that. Um, Seattle, I got them getting the wild card spot as well. I think they finally get in there. They've been knocking on the door for the last couple of years. I think they finally kick it in and make the postseason. And I got the Boston Red Sox getting that last wild card spot in the American League. I like the things that they do. Rafael Devers um, and the rest of this team has gotten very, very better. Alex Cora can manage. Um, so the Red Sox will be an issue. I get the getting the last wild card spot. So that leaves out Minnesota again. They got to prove it to me. Cleveland, Detroit, um, Texas Rangers. Like I said, a lot of people is high on the Rangers, but I think they depending on the Grom, and I hope, like I said, I hope I'm wrong about the Grom. Um, but he just can't stay healthy. But even if he is healthy, it's still gonna be tough for the Rangers to make a wild card spot. Um, so like I said, I feel strongly about that. So we'll see if I'm right or wrong. Um, and that's how I see the American League shaking down. So the ALCS, I got the Yankees and the Royals meeting for the AL pennant. Sorry, Orioles fans. I just think our pitching ain't going to be enough. Um, we ain't won a playoff game. I think we got to at least win a playoff game this year to have some hope for the fans. But I still think the pitching is just going to be an issue, and I think that's going to come up in the playoffs again as well. Um, Nationally, I got the chart basically the Dodgers and the Braves making going to the National League Championship Series. My World Series, I think it'll be a rematch from last year. I think the Yankees will win the AL pennant. I think the Dodgers will win the NL pennant. And I think it'll be the same result. I think it'll be a more competitive series. I got the Dodgers winning the World Series in 6 games over the New York Yankees. I just think the American League, the Yankees, yeah, they're gonna have some competitors, but I just think overall they just the deeper and better team. You know about the Dodgers; they are deep. They're gonna get healthier as the season go on. Now they got that postseason sort of jitters off their back, even though they won it in the COVID year. But Dodgers always been disappointed, making it to the playoffs, losing in the wild card or losing in the NLCS. But now that they won, I think um, they just sort of I don't want to say steamroll through the National League, but I don't see nobody beating them in a 7 game series. The same with the Yankees as well. I want to be wrong. I want my Braves to beat the Dodgers. I think we the only team that really have a real chance that can match them with the lineup and the pitching and everything. But I still think they're gonna fall short, and it hurts me to say as a Braves fan and an Orioles fan. Um, last year my brother he was optimistic maybe it'd be the Orioles or the Braves. I was feeling that too, and that still can happen. Like baseball is crazy. Dodgers, like I said, got all these good talent, but it could just not come together this year. But the way they looked into Japan, it seemed like they're gonna steamroll again to a pennant, and I think they're gonna win it again. First team to go back to back since the Yankees did it, and since they won 3 in a row. Or was it 99? I mean, 98, 99, 2000. They won 3 in a row. So, yep. So that's what I think is going to happen this season. Um, Rewards predictions. American League, I think Bobby Witt Jr. for the Royals. A lot of people's on him, especially if I think the Royals, if they win this division, and he have an awesome year like he did last year. Um, he'll be a perennial MVP. Just like in every league, you get voters fatigue. Judge, of course, will still be there. I hope Gunnar wins it for the Orioles. He'll be a potential guy. Somebody from Boston might rise. Somebody from Houston might, Yordan Alvarez or somebody. But I think Bobby Witt will win it this year. Nationally, Sawyer Tony is just, unless something happened to him, I don't see, especially if he pitches this year, pitches decently. But if he put up the same numbers, he's going to win the MVP again. I don't see nobody else even touching him unless somebody in the National League, maybe Soto or somebody have a crazy year where they hit 60 home runs or something like that. Um, I don't see nobody destroying Shatoni. I think he could be a possible like 6, 7 MVP winner like Barnes was or something like that. long as he played the way he's playing. The Cy Youngs was a little bit more harder to pick, so I kind of just went with the chalk a little bit. Tarak Scoble, I hope I'm saying his name right. Texas Rangers young pitcher. I saw him with my eyes, so I like what he could do this year for the Detroit Tigers. And this National League Cy Young, Paul Skeens for Pittsburgh. I think this kid is just gonna get better and better. I think he sort of carried him this year. But there's a lot of guys for uh, both Cy Youngs that could potentially win it. Because I think the voters really don't like the one thing in baseball. The voters don't really, yeah, they care that you win, but they really look at just the numbers. Really, they sort of stick with the numbers and the situation he was in, especially with Cy Young because you only pitch every 5 days. So if you win 20 games and still your team still win 60 games, they still consider you as Cy Young. You know, so that's what's different between that and the MVP. The MVP, yeah, I think they still look more to the wins, but if you hit 60 home runs and hit for 300, you'll definitely be alive. The MVP, no matter if you're on a bad team or not. Um, so that's why you can sort of pick, that's why it's so fluid. So, all right, that's pretty much my predictions for this season. Um, every day starts tomorrow. Let's go through the schedule real quick to see um, the games for tomorrow. Let's see. Oh yeah. First games they'll start at 3. Orioles, Blue Jays, 3:07. Braves, Padres, 4:10. Brewers start against the Yankees, 3 o'clock. Phillies, Nationals, Red Sox, Rangers. That's an interesting series. Pirates, Marlins, Reds, Giants. Reds at home. Angels, White Sox. These two maybe the two worst teams in the American League playing each other. Guardians and Royals. That's a big series early in the season. Mets and the Astros also, even though that's an interleague. Twins, Cardinals, Tigers, Dodgers. Wow, so the Dodgers get the Tigers to start tomorrow. Cubs at Diamondbacks. That's an interesting series. And the A's and the Mariners. Let's see, Friday, I think for somebody didn't start yet. Rockies, Rays don't start till Friday. And then some teams get some days off. Sometimes they do it like that because some of these series might be 4 gamers and some of them might be 3, so they get they give you the Friday off. So some interesting games are already early in the season, but it is early baseball. You just can't panic, but at the same time, you don't want to get off to a slow start. Get 10 games or 10 games out there, something like that. Hard for you to come back from. Just stay steady and then make your push June, July, and throughout the season. But the first April and May, you just want to be at least around 500 minimum. You don't want to be like already 10 games, 15 games under 500 because then it's hard to recover from that. But all right, everybody, that's my show for today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about NBA, the latest going on with the postseason. I'll talk a lot about the OKC Thunder tomorrow. That's what will be one of the teams I focus on. Sweet 16 starts tomorrow. We'll look at the men's bracket. We also might take a peek at the women's bracket. Women's Sweet 16 also got interesting. And the NFL, of course, the Russell Wilson signing, Stephon Diggs signing, and we'll just look around the NFL. So what that means for Aaron Rodgers is he's in line to get that job at Pittsburgh. So we'll talk about that. All that tomorrow. Hopefully I won't start as late because I definitely want to start by 9:30 tomorrow. But thank you guys so much for joining me. Shout out to my bro Dang. Yeah, my boy from Chicago. Uh, he know who I'm talking about. Hopefully, my Bulls fan. I ain't heard from him in a while. But that's my bro. I gotta ask him if he's a Chicago fan. I'm guessing. If I had to guess, I think he's probably more of a Cubs fan. Um, but yeah. Uh, but thank you guys, man. Just thank you guys. I hate when I get tongue tied like this. Um, Hopefully y'all enjoyed the show today. If you're a baseball fan, it's definitely something to watch. Give your predictions, get in the comments. Let me know what you think. But I got the Dodgers winning again. I just don't see less injuries. Knock on wood. If injuries don't come, then I think they'll be right there getting to win the whole thing. Um, Thank you guys. I'm Troy West. I see you guys tomorrow for episode 286, MLB. We won't touch on that tomorrow. We can, I might just touch on a little bit, just to, some games, but I'm not going to talk much baseball tomorrow. It'll be more about NBA and NFL tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your guys' support. Um, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks so much. Peace and love. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching.